What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What is going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well on this gorgeous afternoon, where we are going to be discussing the New York Mets and the Miami Marlins series summary. We're going to be summarizing that, talking about everything that went wrong, went well, mostly went well for the Mets. We are going to be going over that, summarizing that, giving my thoughts, opinions, of course, your guys' takes as always. Then, of course, we are going to be transitioning into the New York Mets and the Chicago Cubs series preview, as the Cubs are coming back to Citi Field to play a 3-game set against the New York Mets. We're going to be talking about that, some preview. Then, of course, Mets news, all that great stuff. And, of course, your guys' comments, questions, and concerns. Anything you have in the chat below, do not hesitate. Drop it below. We will be discussing that, all of that great stuff in today's stream. Before we get started into all of the great stuff, please, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel, and, of course, all of that great stuff as always. So let's stop wasting really any more time, and let's dive into this New York Mets and Miami Marlins series summary. Obviously, the Mets came down to Miami hoping to win the series, in which they did. I was coming up on this stream, and honestly, I was overall satisfied with what happened this series. Obviously, don't get me wrong, the Marlins were entering this series losing 9 of their last 10. So, I mean, I was saying a sweep would be nice. You lost game 1, which wasn't great, but hey, you took 2 of 3. And we are going to be breaking down really what happened in those games. So let's stop wasting any time and talk about game 1, which was, of course, Friday's game. Getting into Friday's game, the Mets lost this game by a score of 6-3. We had David Peterson on the bump for the New York Mets. Obviously, David Peterson going 3 2/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Peterson, we've been seeing this a lot lately where the strikeouts have been going up, but he's also giving up a lot of hits. And that's something that's been pretty kind of new for Peterson for the most part. Usually, as stated in the past, we'd really only see Peterson be a ground ball pitcher, but now he's throwing down more the zone, which is going to result in more strikeouts, but of course the opportunity for more hits. His slider looked good, but he got feasted on a little bit with that, with some hard contact. It happens. I mean, could have easily relied on the bullpen to save him some runs, but unfortunately that was not the case. Getting into this bullpen, obviously Tommy Hunter coming in to replace 1 1/3 of an inning, obviously 2 hits, a run, a walk, a strikeout. Michael Givens coming in for 2 innings, giving up a hit, a walk, a strikeout. So really impressive to see Michael Givens really in his last, I believe it's his last 4 appearances, being scoreless. That's going to be huge for Michael Givens to really try and help secure this bullpen. He's going to be a huge asset to it 100%. So we'll see how things can go there for him. Doly Rodriguez coming in for an inning, obviously faced 1/3 of a batter, giving up 2 hits and 2 runs. 2 walks, 20 pitches. So Doly Rodriguez, a guy who Mets fans were very frustrated with. I went on my Instagram and completely shitted on this dude. Absolutely horrible decision making there. I mean, I love Buck Showalter, I really do, but that was the one move where I'm thinking, could have used a guy like Lugo. Obviously, Ottavino was available. Why do you go to Rodriguez? I mean, at this rate, is it really worth doing this lefty on lefty shenanigans, knowing how inconsistent Doly Rodriguez has been? He's been absolutely horrible for the Mets this season. He had one good little stretch over the summer. Otherwise, he's been absolutely dog crap. And, I really hate to get a little unprofessional and start attacking players, but the production, I mean, it's no difference than Miguel Castro. It really is. I get it. The Yankees have not been getting the most production out of Miguel Castro. Same reason that the Mets are not getting any production whatsoever out of Doly Rodriguez. So really unfortunate. And then, of course, Edwin Diaz comes in. Edwin Diaz, you put Diaz in for 2/3 of an inning to strike out a batter, 6 pitches, all those were strikes. So, I mean, really unfortunate, from the bullpen. Obviously, you had this game in the palm of your hands, and then your bullpen pretty much let it go. So, yeah. Getting into this offense, the offense, they were around, but they stranded so many runners in scoring position and had so many opportunities. Obviously, 3 hits, 7 runs, driving. Let's get into the run creation here. In the top of the 3rd inning, obviously, Brandon Nemo has an RBI single to deep center to bring in Tomas Nido for the first run of this game. And heading on into the sixth inning for the last 2 runs of the game, Pete Alonso has a 2-run homer to left, 406 feet to bring in himself and, of course, Brandon Nemo. And, that really tied the game. But then, of course, your bullpen pretty much went to give it up. So, really unfortunate that your bullpen was not able to hold it down. But I'm more disappointed in the bats this game. Obviously, this team offensively had really little to no approach when it came with hitting and runners in scoring position. Multiple opportunities where you had pretty much runners on first and third and 1 out, and Mcneil grounds into a double play. Lindor grounds into a double play. You had that same opportunity there. So back to back, bases loaded and runners on the corners, and your batter grounds out into a double play. I mean, opportunities like that is what really killed this team this game. I mean, they had so many opportunities, and guys like Mcneil and I think Lindor was kind of the bigger, more annoyance considering how much later it was in the game. But yeah, just really unfortunate at bats from those two. Obviously, that game. Yeah, really unfortunate. As stated, Mets dropped this game by a score of 6-3. Not ideal. Getting into game two, much more happier things. The Mets win game two by a score of 11-3. Their offense showed up big time this game. We'll just say that. Getting into the pitching, obviously, Carlos Cookie Carrasco was on the bump for the New York Mets. Carrasco had a phenomenal outing once again. Carrasco going 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, 0 walks, 6 strikeouts, 74 pitches. Could have maybe went into the 7th inning, but obviously really no rush. As stated, Carrasco had a phenomenal job. Really no complaints. I mean, he had a little trouble in the first inning with some contact, but otherwise got out of it clean. Besides that first inning, he looked phenomenal. His slider was really dotting the end of the strike zone, goal side slider. His stuff was really connecting. 6 strikeouts. You like to see that out of Carrasco. Not a crazy high strikeout guy, so that's about the average amount of strikeouts that you'll expect from Carrasco for the most part during his appearances. So good to see Carrasco with a clean outing there. Nice quality start. Getting into it to relief, Montez came in for relief, going an inning, 3 hits, a run, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts. No major complaints there, considering you had a big enough lead. Following that, Trevor Williams came in for an inning, 2 hits, a run, 2 strikeouts. No complaints. And then to close out this game, Alex Claudio came in, who's been actually really good since called up. Obviously, this is his second appearance. But yeah, good to see him obviously coming in for an inning, giving up a walk, 12 pitches, clean outing there. So really good to see the bullpen, really control it for the most part, obviously. So good to see. But in terms of this offense, and the offense was definitely the highlight of this game, the offense really broke out big time. Obviously, the offense scoring 11 runs, 16 hits. They were on fire. Pretty much everyone pretty much got a hit that was in the starting lineup. So let's get into it. Getting on into the third inning with the run creation, Jeff McNeil opens up this ball game in the top of the third with a RBI single to right to bring in Francisco Lindor. Heading on into the fourth inning, Eduardo Escobar continues to stay hot. Eduardo Escobar has an RBI double to deep right center to bring in Mark Canha to make this a two-run ball game. Following that, James McCann decides to get in on some of the action. We know that catchers have been providing a lot of offense and have been a big contributor to run scoring in September so far. James McCann gets in on some of the action and has an RBI single to right to bring in Daniel Vogelbach. Couple bats later, Francisco Lindor has an RBI single to right to bring in Eduardo Escobar. Jeff McNeil had an RBI sac fly to left to bring in James McCann. And really, to crack this ball game wide open, Mark Canha has a grand slam home run to left, 382 feet to bring in himself, Nemo, Lindor, and Naquin. So 9-1 ball game. Heading on into the fifth inning, Francisco Lindor has a solo home run to left, 412 feet. And of course, to put the cherry on top, the icing on the cake, Eduardo Escobar decides to go Eduardo Escobar and has a solo home run to center, 417 feet. Mets win this game, obviously, by a score of 11-3. Offense stepped up big time. Obviously, Lindor going 3 for 5, Mcneil going 2 for 4, Escobar going 3 for 5. I mean, pretty much everybody got a hit. Everyone got a hit. So you like to see that. Mets win by a score of 11-3. Carrasco with his 14th win on the season. And getting into it, here, give me 1 second, guys. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, getting into it, game three in the final game of this three-game series, the Mets win this game by a score of 9-3. Getting things started with the pitcher on the mound, Taijuan Walker. Obviously, a lot of people were a little worried with Taijuan Walker going into this series. Obviously, considering we've seen his second half struggles, but he did not express that at all. Getting into it, Walker 7 innings, 5 hits, a run, 0 walks, 10 strikeouts. Quality outing. My apologies from Taijuan Walker. Definitely a big needed quality performance from Taijuan Walker. He looked good for the most part, as stated, double-digit strikeouts. You like to see that out of Walker. But I think most importantly, the concern going into this game was the blister on Walker's hand, and we weren't really sure, how he would, go with that split finger, maybe throwing the slider hard. But in result, he threw his fastball a lot. He threw his fastball quite more often than usual, and hey, it was successful. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. He was successful, dominant, pounded the strike zone well. His fastball was on point. His velocity was there. 87 pitches, 61 of those in the strike zone. So his command of the zone was there. He looked good. Really, no complaints from Walker. He had a couple hard hit balls to the warning track, obviously. Only giving up one home run to Brian Anderson in the fourth. Hit hard. He had a couple barrels. Luckily, died on the warning track, and you had good defense. Guys, Canna and Nemo obviously making a couple good catches, obviously. So yeah, like I said, your defense helped you out. Wasn't really a big need for defense, but hey, it helped. Obviously, getting into the bullpen coming in, only 2 innings. Obviously, Seth Lugo came in for an inning, giving up 2 hits, a strikeout. Lugo has been very consistent lately. He's going to be a big contributor if he can continue to stay as he's been. That changeup, the spin rate, it's been there. So hopefully, we know that the injury concern was kind of still in effect for him last year. So hopefully he can be consistent and really go back to his 2019 self, because you need Lugo being consistent now more than ever. So yeah, unfortunate outing kind of for Lugo. Obviously, the 2 runs given up, but hey, you had a big enough lead. And obviously, getting into it to close things off, Adam Ottavino came in, obviously an inning and a strikeout, 13 pitches. So yeah, obviously really good to see the Mets bullpen and really the Mets pitching staff light things out. Obviously, Taijuan Walker really giving this Mets bullpen a big break by going 7 innings. Those were definitely a big needed outing from Taijuan Walker, and obviously it helped the bullpen considering that they had less work to do. So yeah, really impressive to see as always. Getting into this offense, obviously the offense really was lights out once again. 9 runs, 14 hits. Once again, everyone in the starting lineup except one person had a hit. We'll get over that one, or those 2 people actually. But getting into it with the run creation in the second inning, Brandon Nemo has a 3-run homer to right center. 426 feet to bring in Jeff Mcneil and Tomas Nido, and of course himself, to make this a 3-0 ball game. So really good to see Brandon Nemo really starting to crack some of that power. We know that he's really been swinging the bat a little bit more this season, and hey, it's resulting in a lot of hard doubles down the line and some long balls. His 14th homer on the season. I didn't even expect Nemo to get to 10 this year, but hey, I think he could. I mean, with 21 games left, he's probably capable of maybe hitting 2-3 more. So we'll see. Obviously, heading on into the third inning, Jeff Mcneil with some run creation. Jeff Mcneil had an RBI single to center to bring in Francisco Lindor. Heading on into the fourth inning, Pete Alonso had an RBI single to bring in Tomas Nido to make this a 5-run ball game. Heading on into the fifth inning, Tomas Nido decided to get it on some more catcher run creation. Tomas Nido had an RBI double to left to bring in Mcneil and Escobar. And heading on into the ninth inning, Eduardo Escobar continues to stay raging red hot and goes Eduardo Escobar once again. Escobar with a home run to right, 368 feet. And then to put the cherry on the top, Tomas Nido. How about that? He decides to hit a home run to center, 410 feet for his first home run on the season. Very good to see Nido with some power there. I know it wasn't really, in a dire need, but hey, always good to see him boost up his stats and really show that catching position has really been changing big time. So really good to see as always. So yeah, Mets obviously 14 hits, 9 runs. Obviously, great day from Nemo. Nemo going 2 for 4, 3 RBIs, 2 walks. Alonso 2 for 5. Escobar 2 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. Mcneil 3 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. Nido 3 for 4, 3 RBIs and a walk. So really good to see, especially at the bottom end of this lineup. I mean, the only guys who really kind of screwed was Vientos. He did go 0 for 5. Had a couple hard hit balls, so I mean that's progress. It's it's not like he just stood there and struck out like his first at bat. So that was unfortunate, but hey, he did hit some hard balls, so not horrible. I'll give him some slack. It was his first game. Talk to me in 2 weeks from now. We could start judging him a little bit more there. So yeah, obviously Vientos going 0 for 5, but the more annoying guy was Darren Ruff. Obviously, him going 0 for 4, which is something that we've been seeing quite too often for this New York Mets team, and we are going to get into Darren Ruff a little bit later. Ruff really struck out twice and had 2 ground outs, with one of those being a double play. So yeah, Ruff, we're going to get into him a little bit later in the stream. So yeah, Mets take 2 of 3 against the Miami Marlins. Hey, I'll take it. Definitely something that I was happy with. Yeah, no complaints. So now let's get into this New York Mets and Chicago Cubs series preview. As stated, the Mets are going back home to play a 3-game set against the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs have had a pretty unfortunate season for the most part. 58-82 is their overall record, where they are 28-40 on the road. So those are pretty unfortunate stats for them. The Cubs, yeah, really kind of in a weird spot. Obviously, they're Cubs fans, and I'll even say myself, I was expecting the Cubs to have a little bit more expectations this season. To be honest, I didn't think they'd be this horrible. I really didn't think their pitching staff was completely horrible. It wasn't great, but I didn't think it would give them a record, with one of the worst. But yeah, unfortunate series for the Cubs. They have a couple good guys. Obviously, we'll get into those guys. For the Mets, obviously 89-52, with a record of 46-23 at home. So you like to see that. Mets coming off of a really good series against the Marlins. Cubs coming off of an unfortunate series against the Giants, where they lost 2 of 3. Cubs' last 5 games are 1-4. Mets' last 5 games are 4-1. So pretty much turn that around. So you like to see that for the Mets, obviously. Getting into it, let's get into game 1, which will be tonight's game. Tonight's game, 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. The New York Mets will have Chris Bassett on the bump for the Mets. Bassett, obviously 13-7 on the season, a 3.24 ERA, 1.13 WHIP, 161 1/3 innings pitched, 153 strikeouts. Bassett has had a phenomenal outing his last appearance against the Pirates. He's been very consistent, really, for this Mets team, pretty much for majority of the season. Maybe he's had, couple unfortunate outings in the mix, but the numbers there speak for themselves. He's been very consistent, very good, very dominant on the mound. Mixes up his pitch as well. He has a huge arsenal of pitches, whether that's the fastball, whether that's the curveball, the changeup, the slider. So really, point is, Bassett has a huge arsenal of pitches. If he can mix them well, he's in for success. Obviously, facing lefties, try and go inside. That's something that he did last series against the Pirates, and he was unhittable when he was pitching to lefties inside. Cubs, I'm not familiar with their lineup completely, but I think they have a couple good lefties in the mix. So take advantage of that for Bassett. And obviously for the Chicago Cubs, they will be having Javier Assad. Never really heard of him, to be honest, so I couldn't really tell you much about him. He's a righty, so that is something good to see, obviously. But yeah, he's had a couple unfortunate outings his last 3 appearances, so we'll see how the Mets could take up against Javier Assad. Getting into game 2, which is also tomorrow's game, Tuesday's game at 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, the New York Mets will have Jacob Degrom, a.k.a. Jacob the GOAT, on the bump for the New York Mets. Degrom, 5-1 on the season, a 1.66 ERA, a 0.55 WHIP, 43 1/3 innings pitched, 63 strikeouts. Degrom, dominant pitcher. Don't really need to go much in explanation. Don't need to give much of an analysis. He's elite, high velocity, slider, fastball, whatever. Dominant, plenty of strikeouts, plenty of whiffs. Few walks, few hard hits. He's dominant. There's really nothing else to say. With Degrom, he's kind of really off that pitch count limit. He's pretty much probably going to go as long as him and Buck Showalter and of course Jeremy Hefner feel ideal for Degrom. He's the guy that you'd like to see give your bullpen a break. Yeah, you're getting into late September, so you really got to be cautious with all your pitchers. You don't want to push them. Obviously, Jacob Degrom being one of those guys you got to be cognizant of. So, Degrom, considering it's against the Chicago Cubs lineup, who's been struggling offensively and just been struggling overall, I would honestly say 7 innings, 6 and a third, 6 and 2/3, I think is ideal. And obviously for the Chicago Cubs, they will have Adrian Sampson, the righty, on the mound. And getting into game 3 and the final game of this 3-game series, and the final game between the Mets and Cubs this season, the Mets will have David Peterson on the bump, the lefty. Obviously, Peterson 7-4 in the season, a 3.47 ERA, a 1.33 WHIP. 98 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 117 strikeouts. Interesting to see Peterson and the strikeout numbers going up, as stated. More of a ground ball pitcher, but this season he's really been kind of mixed up with his ground balls and strikeouts. He'll have an outing where maybe he'll get 2 strikeouts and 10 ground balls, and then the next outing he'll have 7 strikeouts and 5 ground balls. So the strikeout to ground ball ratio you like to see from Peterson. Keep that slider intact. He's been throwing. The velocity has definitely increased for David Peterson, no doubt to say, this season. So, we'll see how Peterson can go. Like I said, keep that velocity intact. Be cognizant of the pitch count. That's something that's really been a killer for David Peterson in the past, is the pitch count. If he can keep, like I say, something around the lines of if Peterson can keep something around the lines of 10 to 15 pitches per inning, you could easily see him go 6 innings. And obviously for the Chicago Cubs, they will have the lefty and Drew Smyly, who the Mets do have pretty good numbers against. So we'll see how the Mets could share against Drew Smyly. Getting into some good players to keep an eye out for. Obviously, a couple things to mention for the Cubs. They have a couple good guys on the IL. Obviously, Wilson Contreras is on the 10-day IL. Nick Madrigal is on the 10-day IL. Nico Horner is day-to-day. So you look at this Cubs team, you got Ian Happ and maybe a couple other guys in the mix, but nothing really too concerning about. We're almost going to see how the Cubs can go offensively. One of the lower teams when it comes to the offense, obviously, having a team OBP at 313, a team average at 242. So, a team definitely isn't the best offensively. They do walk a lot. Obviously, 472 walks as a team. So they definitely are a team that won't swing the bat, but will just rely on getting on base, fundamental baseball. So I definitely do respect that. So we'll see. But getting into my 3 players to keep an eye out for this series, and that is, the first guy obviously has to be Eduardo Escobar. This dude has been on fire lately. When I say on fire, he has been on fire. Last 7 games, a 500 average, a 533 OBP, and an 857 slugging. Last 7 games, 14 hits. It's pretty much doubled, pretty much 2 hits per game, 3 homers, 5 ribbies, and 2 walks. Escobar really changing up his approach at the plate. He claims that he changed his stance a little bit, and that's making him feel better. Hey, whatever is going to make him successful, I'm not going to complain. He's raised pretty much all of his stats up big time. His OPS is back into the 700s. He's raised that big time. Really good to see Escobar really being red hot, having a phenomenal September, returning from the IL. I guess he just really completely changed his attitude. He changed himself mechanically. Maybe realized that, guys like Beatty, Vientos, the possibility of them taking his job, was kind of a concern for them. So we really had to show off. Obviously, Luis Guillorme is returning from the IL, the possibility of him taking his job over again, because we saw it, really before he went on the IL, we saw Escobar was in the lineup like once, twice a week against a lefty. And then it was really just Guillorme at third. Maybe once they throw him as a DH, but, I guess that really got to Escobar and said, you know what, I really got to change my approach up. And he did. So that is my first guy to keep an eye out for. When it comes to this series in Eduardo Escobar. Expect a really good series from him. Predictions, I think he'll have 1 home run and 4 hits. Just a little random prediction there. So I think I'll have a really good series. against the Chicago Cubs. So he is my first player to keep an eye out for. Getting into my second player, I'm going to go Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil has been having a phenomenal season, but especially the last couple weeks have been treating him very well. Jeff McNeil, in the last 7 games, in 25 at-bats, has a 400 average, a 438 OBP, and a 440 slugging. Obviously, 10 hits, 7 ribbies, 3 walks. So he's definitely walking a little bit more. You'd like to see that. Obviously, the hits, nothing new. He gets hits. But the 7 RBIs, he pretty much has an RBI in each of the last 7 games. So that's been something new. And considering McNeil has really been batting all over the lineup. He's been batting in the 5th hole. He's been batting in the 3rd hole. He's been batting in the 7th and 8th hole. And he hits anywhere. So I guess that's one interesting thing to break out with McNeil is that wherever he's in the lineup, he's going to hit. Obviously, it comes to the part of, you want him to be in a certain part of the lineup because then he'll be stranded with the guys behind him. But with McNeil, he hits regardless. So McNeil has been phenomenal. The run creation he's been giving to this team the last couple games has been phenomenal. Just bat-to-ball contact, whether it's a sac fly or a base hit, a double, whatever. He's great for run creation. He has phenomenal numbers with runners in scoring position. McNeil, something that has been really good for him this season. Hopefully Jeff McNeil can continue to hit with runners in scoring position. He's been phenomenal. I think he'll have a really good series against the Cubs. My predictions for McNeil in the 3 games, I think he will have 5 hits. And I'm gonna go ballsy. I think he'll have 1 home run. Why not? I think he'll get 1 home run. So that is my second player to keep an eye out for on this game. Getting into my third and final, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna go hardcore. I'm in the mood for a hot take, but that's James McCann. I'm just gonna say it. Who knows? Maybe we can come back here on Thursday's stream or whatever, Wednesday's stream, and I just look like an idiot. If you want to clip this, be my guest. But I think James McCann is going to have a good series. Actually, no. I'm going to rephrase that. James McCann and Tomas Nido. I'm going to combine them because the catcher's position has been a big offensive contributor to the Mets this September. I know it's only been 12 days, but McCann and Nido have been doing something. And this is a hot take. I get it. A lot of people are probably going to give me shit for this, and I'll take it. But McCann and Nido have definitely been providing a lot, not a lot, but a fair amount of offense than what we have seen before. So I think they definitely could have a pretty interesting series against the Chicago Cubs. They're, taking on unfortunate pitching. So I definitely think they will have a decent outing. Obviously, McCann, last 7 games, 6 hits, an RBI, 4 walks, batting 300, 417 OBP, 400 slugging. He's getting on base a fair amount. I mean, you like to see that. So those are McCann's numbers. Obviously, Tomas Nido has been also pretty good, had a phenomenal game when it came to the Miami Marlins series with Tomas Nido. Taking a look-see at Tomas Nido's stats, his splits. Getting into Tomas Nido in the last 7 games, he has 8 hits, a home run, 5 ribbies, a walk, 381 average, 391 OBP, and a 714 slugging. So not horrible. I mean, usually if these guys played any other position, I probably wouldn't really care and I'd go for someone else. But I don't know, considering how good our catching or how good our catcher's offense has been this month, I'll accept it. I really will. They've been much more consistent, hopefully it lasts. So just a little hot take, maybe a little interesting guy, mix it up a bit. I think they'll have a fair series against the Cubs. I don't think they're going to go, I don't think McCann and Nido are going to go combined, like 7 for 10 with 2 homers. I don't know about that, but I could at least see a hit or 2 from both of them. So, yeah. So those are my 3 guys to keep an eye out for on this series. So that is the New York Mets and the Chicago Cubs series preview, and of course the New York Mets and the Miami Marlins series summary. Now we're going to get into some of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, the Cubs, the Dodgers, whatever you guys want to talk about. One little thing to bring up is the Los Angeles Dodgers have officially clinched a playoff spot. Big surprise. They are the first team in the 2022 season to clinch a playoff spot. So they will be going to the playoffs for the 10th consecutive year in a row. Big surprise. Obviously, that NL West is really Dodgers division. I mean, maybe the Padres are kind of in a push for it. They're what, 15 to 20 games back. So, I don't really think the Padres have a chance at the division, but definitely a wild card spot. But yeah, obviously Dodgers, congrats to them. Tip of the cap to them. They have been really phenomenal for most of the season for the most part. So yeah, obviously we're definitely strong possibility the Mets do see them in the playoffs. So we will see, considering how things are going. They have the first tier and the Mets have the second tier. So let's get into it. What is going on, everyone? Alex, Ruben, what's going on? Karen, Gio, Steven. Steven says, Hayden, are you streaming the game tonight? Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. I know I haven't really streamed any games this season. I know last year I streamed a couple. I know last year I streamed a couple games when it went into extra innings, and I haven't really done any of that this year. And I guess, that is on me. I do apologize if any of you guys do look forward to those. But, now, being at school and I just don't really have a whole lot of time to, sit down for 3 hours and, stream a game. But if I'll tell you this, the Mets make the playoffs, I'll do some game watch alongs. I think that's something that I definitely will be able to arrange. Something, if the Mets do make the playoffs, which they are, I will definitely probably do some game watch alongs. Maybe I'll have some other baseball fans on here, some other YouTubers, maybe some people at my school who are Mets fans. Yeah, we'll see. But I definitely can promise that I will stream some playoff games. Peter, what's going on? Ibindos. Mark, what's going on? Davis says, hey, Hayden, 21 games to go. Yes, sir. Can't believe it. Cubs fandom, what's going on? Good luck. Good luck to the Cubs. Alvaro, what's going on? LGM, of course. RJ. Alvaro says, now it's all about, can the Mets win the World Series? Yeah, I mean, right now it seems that the Mets are in a pretty good spot to obviously the Mets are in a pretty good spot to make the playoffs unless something happens where they lose every single game and every other team wins every game, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, right now the Mets are pretty much in a playoff spot. It's pretty much divisional wild card at this rate. That's really what it seems to be. The Mets do have a game and a half above the Atlanta Braves. So you like to see that. That's not horrible. Really, that is not horrible. Trey says, good afternoon to the first place team in the NL East division. Yes, sir. I do like that. Super exciting. Jose, what's going on? He says, what's up, Hayden? Hope you are doing well. I'm doing well, man. Jones, what's going on? Kobe says, hey, Hayden, what's up? Good series against the Marlins. On to the Cubs at home. Yes, sir. Cal says, hey, Hayden, what's up? Successful series down in Miami. Of course, great series against the Marlins. Alvaro says, when is Scherzer coming back? So, yeah, we'll see. Scherzer, let's see what's going on with Mr. Mad Max Scherzer. We know that he is sidelined for roughly a week and a half. He did get ejected from yesterday's game in the dugout, but we know that Scherzer is on the IL. Obviously, 15-day IL. He had a left side fatigueness, and obviously Showalter wanted to be cognizant with the medical staff, and he is on the IL. Pretty much, this is days, not weeks. So, like I said, this isn't a significant injury. This isn't horrible. Just a precautionary thing. Predictions say that he will pretty much be able to return as soon as he's eligible. So no rehab, none of that. And he should be eligible on September 19th. So 8 days from now. So probably next week. Ibindos says, Mark Vientos hit the ball very hard in the first game yesterday. Bright future for him. Yeah, I mean, he had a couple good hard hit balls. Like I said, unfortunately, baseball is a results-oriented game. So, we need more results than what happens. But hey, continue hitting the ball hard. And I always say good things will happen. If you hit the ball hard, eventually good things will happen. I mean, the strikeout numbers with Vientos are going to be high at the MLB level. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, he has like a 40-something% strikeout, percentage. I would not be surprised. But hey, if he could just do what he does, I'll take it. Gladly would. Davis says our offense showed up big time this series. Production from every hitter 1 through 9. Yeah, I mean that's what makes a ball team successful. Everyone contributing. When I know a lot of the season, a lot of your guys in the 6, 7, 8, 9 hole or 7, 8, 9 hole haven't been able to contribute a lot. But now with this team who had some offensive concerns, everyone that's going to contribute means everything. Marco, what's going on? He says, yo, Hayden, what's new in Metland? Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, obviously, in terms of the Mets, played a 3-game series in Miami, took 2 of 3, going home to play 3 games against the Cubs, hoping for a sweep there. maybe 2 of 3 at worst. Yeah, Mets offense on fire. 20 runs in 2 days. You like to see that. So we'll see if they can continue to be successful. Jones says this is going to be a wild ride, an exciting back and forth, predicting one of the most exciting endings in baseball history. For real, man. I mean, this is really going to be an exciting next 2 weeks for the Mets. Extremely exciting. I mean, I'm stoked. Matthew, what's going on? He says Nemo has to work on his base stealing skills this offseason. There's no way a guy with his speed should have 20 steals minimum. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Nemo, I feel, is definitely capable of stealing more. I mean, I think this is obviously he had his first stolen base this Marlins series, and only I think that was his second attempt. Obviously, he did try he tried once before, but was caught stealing. But I definitely agree with you. I think he should steal more. I mean, according to Baseball Savant, Brandon Nemo being in the 86th percentile in sprint speed. I mean, that's dominant. I mean, that's phenomenal. Is he a Trey Turner type? No, but I think he's definitely a top tier guy who has speed on the base pass and in the field. So I would really like him to steal more. I think that could really help out his value. I know he's a leadoff hitter and he's been swinging the bat a little bit more. But I mean, being a leadoff guy, that's also a big part to contributing. Is once you get on base, you're able to continue to get around the base paths. So we know guys like maybe Marte who could have a double play concern. You get Nemo to steal, and boom, that breaks out the double play opportunity regardless of Marte, any hitter. So, I mean, that's one thing that I really want the Mets to do a lot more. Even Mcneil, we saw him steal this season. I know Mcneil isn't, maybe a great guy with stolen bases and stealing bases, but even Mcneil, I feel, is capable of, maybe, getting 7, 8, 9, 10 stolen bases a year. We know he has 4 right now. He's in the 50th percentile in sprint speed, so he's average. Like I said, he's not. Obviously Nemo would probably beat him in a race most likely. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see, a lot of guys on this team steal more. Lindor, Marte, obviously. I really like them to steal more. And I think that could just help Nemo's overall production and value. Eric says, let's go Mets. What's the news with Dom Smith? Yeah, Dom Smith is in AAA, and he's been hitting the ball pretty well down there. I think the thing with Dom is he just needs the playing time, and it's kind of hard with the Mets because, he has 2 unfortunate games, and the Mets are in a pennant chase. You can't be patient. But right now, I mean, I'll tell you this. I'd rather have Dom Smith than Darren Ruff. I'll tell you that. Daniel, what's going on? Daniel says, LOL. Braves were only in first place for a day. Love that Kenley Jansen blew a save against the Mariners. Yeah, definitely unfortunate for the Braves, obviously, and Kenley Jansen having 2 unfortunate outings back to back. But yeah, definitely Mariners helping out the Mets big time. Sam Haggerty, Paul Sewald, and of course, Julio Rodriguez, Eugenio Suarez. I did catch some of the game yesterday. For Seattle, electric. I mean, I'm excited to see them in the playoffs, breaking their drought. I mean, I've been live for longer than they've been in a postseason game in the this century. So really good to see. Kobe says, I still can't believe the Mets gave away 5 prospects Kobe says, I can't believe the Mets gave away 5 prospects for Darren Ruff. Shaking my head. I believe it was it actually 5? No, I think it was like 4 and JD Davis, or maybe 3. I don't know. It was Zapucki, Davis, and I think 2 other prospects. So if you want to call Zapucki. Whoops, apologies about that. I accidentally hit the off button. My apologies, guys. But yeah, Kobe, I agree with you. It's an embarrassment. I mean, Darren Ruff has literally done nothing for the Mets. I mean, I will pull up his numbers right now. He has done literally nothing for the Mets. I mean, I was told he hits lefties. He has yet to do anything. I mean, overall with the Mets in 30 games, he has 7 hits. 15 strikeouts with a 140 average, a 182 OBP, and a 200 slugging. It's a fucking embarrassment. I mean, it's a joke. It seriously is. Horrible numbers for Darren Ruff. Epler fucked up big time. I'll say that. I mean, you look at JD Davis. I get it. Davis wasn't a huge contributor before the deadline. He's doing more now with the Giants, but I would have taken what Davis was doing in the first half from Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff, 21 games, 55 plate appearances, 50 at-bats, 7 hits, 3 doubles, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, 15 strikeouts, average of 140, OBP of 182, slugging of 200, OPS of 382, and this is my favorite part, OPS plus of 9. Yep, very unfortunate. And yeah, 2 sacrifice flies. So pretty much has done nothing for the Mets. So let's look at what JD Davis has done in San Francisco. Yeah, let's look at that. I know when the Mets went after Darren Ruff, I myself was excited. A lot of other people were, considering his great numbers against lefties, but he hasn't been able to hit against anything or anyone. JD Davis in 31 games, 94 plate appearances, 81 at bats, 13 runs, 19 hits, 3 doubles, 5 homers, 7 ribbies, 11 walks, 35 strikeouts, 235 average, a 340 OBP, 457 slugging, 797 OPS, and a 121 OPS plus. So yeah, and 2 hit by pitches, just a little, I don't know, to prove he still has the Met in him somehow with getting hit. But yeah, those aren't like all-star numbers, but they're much better than Darren Ruff. I would easily take those 5 homers, 7 ribbies, the 797 OPS, much over Ruff's inadequate numbers. So, unfortunate move by Epler, really. Peter says, should Escobar be moved to the DH spot when Guillorme comes back? Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to keep, Escobar's bat in the lineup if he's going to be this hot. You definitely don't want to give him a couple days off to give Guillorme the back. You definitely, luckily, having the luxury of the DH, you could put Escobar in the DH hole if it's a lefty. But really, it doesn't even matter if he's a lefty because, originally Escobar was only able to hit lefties, but now he's hitting everyone. So, I mean, it really comes to the point is, at this rate, you could put Guillorme at third, Escobar DH, or vice versa. Obviously, Guillorme's defense and is obviously much better than Escobar's, but definitely want to keep those 2 bats in the lineup. So I would have no problem with that, really. Definitely could always rotate. Daniel says Mets better take care of business against the Cubs. Yeah, definitely hope they can, and I think they certainly will. Yeah, 3 prospects for Ruff. Yeah, JD Davis. I believe that is correct. Yes. Davis has thoughts on Mark Viento's call-up. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited for it. I mean, I know it's a short sample size, only 5 at-bats, a strikeout, and 4 balls hit. Like I said, he made contact, so, it's better than him going 0 for 5 with 4 or 5 strikeouts. But, yeah, I mean, really glad that he's here. Like I said, we'll see what he could do. I mean, the Mets kind of really waited too long when it came to him. I mean, they had multiple opportunities to call him up, and they kind of just said, nah, we're going to go with Ruff. We're going to go with Naquin. We're going to go with, Beatty, whoever. So, I mean, it's really good to see them finally give him the chance. Big reason, I think, obviously, if Beatty was here, he probably wouldn't be given that chance. I think a big reason that he wasn't able to be called up is because of the Beatty injury. But, hey, I mean, still good to see. I mean, I'm happy that he's up. He definitely deserves it. I think he, has a bright future ahead. Like I said, the strikeout numbers are really the biggest concern. But when it comes to him, he's, like I said, going to have a high strikeout rate. He really is. I'm expecting 40, 50, and we're going to be getting triggered about that. But then he's also going to have moments where he pimps a 410-foot home run. So we'll see. Brett Beatty fan club. Yes, sir. Trey says, let's keep the W train rolling. Bottom half of the lineup is looking amazing right now and couldn't be with better timing. Let's sweep the Cubs. 100%. 100%. RJ says W series. Yes, sir. Jones says Canna is the most underrated player in the entire NL. He's top 5 in OBP. And what's the goal of every at-bat? Exactly. Moneyball, get on base. I like that. Or hitting grand slams works also. Yeah, I would not be against any of those. But yeah, Canna's been phenomenal, really. I mean, he had one little unfortunate slump this season, but overall has been phenomenal with the Mets. Really, for at least 95% of the Mets season has been consistent, has been phenomenal. He's been a great, really arguably table setter. Could honestly make a case as a leadoff guy or, top 2, 3 in the batting order. He's been getting on base. And he's really been doing a little bit of everything. He's shown a little bit more power in the past. He's had a couple good homers, definitely some clutch homers. But the walks, he gets on base. He's been getting hit, I think 20 hit by pitches. And hey, that's 20 times he gets on base. So I don't mind it. Obviously, he led the leagues in hit by pitches last year. So obviously, he's going to get on base. And obviously, you add the walks on top of that, the singles and the doubles. And of course, his ability to hit the ball with more power now, which we've been seeing. So yeah, you're definitely seeing great numbers from Mark Canha. I agree with you. He's definitely an underrated player, along with guys like Brandon Nemo, Jeff McNeil. Mets have plenty of underrated players. Kobe says, "Do you think Pujols will hit 700 homers? Only 3 away." Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll get like 701. Really, I think he'll get like 701. And like, watch, it'll be like the last game, and I'll have like 2 homers. Shea Parker, what's going on? He says, "Hey, Hayden, what's up? What a great couple days. Take the Cubs hat off." I know. Unfortunate Cubs. Hopefully they do lose though. But yeah, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in, man. Uh-oh. Hey, listen, this is what I'll say with McCann. He's been horrible, but him and Nido have been having a decent September offensively. So, little hot take, sprinkle it in. I mean, I'm not expecting much, but we'll see. Cal says, "Love to see Mcneil and Nemo steal bases this series. They should do that a lot more." Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you heard me say before, but these guys are capable of stealing. I mean, I have no problem with, them being set more, as they should. Fundamental baseball, send these guys more. If you're a team that's struggling offensively, boom, you steal bases, you get a sac fly. It's a simple run there. So the Mets are capable of stealing bases. I mean, you have plenty of guys who are capable. Obviously, Marte, Lindor, your big two. Nemo's in that category. And then you have your second tier of guys, whether that's Mcneil, Canha. I have no problem, with more double steals, hit and runs. I think the Mets should definitely do that more. Especially in the playoffs. We saw the Royals kill the Mets in the 2015 World Series with great base running on errors, great stealing bases, stuff like that. The Mets need to pick up on that, and hopefully they do. Alex, what's going on? Alex says 3 cheers to Seattle. They gave me a scare there, but they took care of business in the end. Yeah, a lot of people were Seattle Mariners fans for the weekend. Davis says, "Do you think Aaron Judge will hit 61 homers this season and surpass Maris's record?" What is he at now? Let's see. Aaron Judge. I know he had like 4 home runs in 4 days, but I don't think he's had any home runs in the last 4 days. Yeah, 55 homers. So obviously 6 more to tie it, 7 to beat it, 21 games. I think it's possible. I know, like, let's see. Having a lot of base hits, it seems. A lot of base hits and doubles the last couple games. He could honestly be in pace for the Triple Crown. I mean, he has the RBIs, he has the homers, and he could get the average. So he probably wants that Triple Crown. But, I mean, I want Roger Maris's home run record. I mean, I think anyone would. Cal, what's going on? He says 20 runs in 2 days. of GM bats are on fire. 100%. You like to see it. Trace says, "Can Jeff McNeil win the batting title?" Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I mean, considering he's batting like 320 something right now. McNeil is batting 322. MLB batting average leaders. So right now, Freeman is 331, Goldschmidt is 325, McNeil is 323, Bogarts is 319, and Arias is 315. So yeah, I definitely think McNeil being in the top 3, only 3 points away from Goldschmidt and 9 away from Freeman. I think he's certainly possible. If he has, good game, gets 3 hits, and maybe a game where Freeman and Goldschmidt only get 1 hit or strike out twice and don't get on base, that definitely could work. And considering McNeil's walking a little bit more, that definitely helps out his average. Kobe says, "When is Max Scherzer expected to return?" ETA is September 19th. Obviously, will not be making any rehab starts. Peter says the Mets should start batting Eduardo Escobar 5th in the lineup. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, I'm tired of seeing Darren Ruff batting 5th. He's useless pretty much for the Mets. I don't really like McNeil. I don't mind McNeil in the 5th hole. I really don't. But I would much rather see Escobar, considering how his power's been lately. Having that 4-5 of Alonso in the 4th, Escobar in the 5th, I mean, that's dangerous. I mean, really is on any given day. That's back-to-back home runs right there. So we know that the Mets got Escobar as another power guy right behind Alonso to kind of, install fear in the pitcher, saying, okay, well, I can't walk Alonso because then I got another power hitter right after him. So little stuff like that helps out. And obviously, I think it's going to be really exciting. So yeah, I agree with you. I definitely would like to see Escobar batting fifth, though. I really would. Marco says, can't wait to finally see the Mets play baseball in late October. Yeah, you and me both, man. Yeah, you and me both. Obviously, always super exciting, for the playoffs. But now it's going to be more exciting and more stressful, obviously, because our Mets are going to be in it. And oof, if you guys watched me last year, you saw the rages I had when the Mets lost. It's going to be a fun October. I mean, my kids in my dorm are probably going to hate me, considering I'm going to be screaming at like 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. My apologies, but yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited. Lynx is coming to sweep the Cubs. Yeah, certainly possible. A sweep is possible. Like I said, 2 of 3, I'll be satisfied. 3 of 3, I'll be happy. Trey says he has the velocity stuff. The Ottavino Lugo can handle. Seventh inning sometimes. The sixth inning, the guys like Rodriguez, Givens, Hunter are in. Often accept blowout games. Yeah, I agree with you on the blowout games part. That's really been something that we've seen a lot. Is guys like Hunter, and yeah, Hunter's always been in the blowout games. I don't really know why that is. Lane says, "What is the news with Drew Smith?" Let's see what Drew Smith. I believe he was making some sort of, it wasn't a rehab, but it was something. Drew Smith is he's working, rejoining the Mets before the playoffs. Yeah, his first set appearance is going to be Saturday. He had a AAA start, looked pretty good there. So yeah, we'll see. Definitely hoping Drew Smith. I know he was a little rough, obviously, considering how he's been the last couple games before he went on the IL. But yeah, hopefully, like I said, quantity over quality guy there. But he's just, I guess, kind of an arm to have. But as of right now, the Mets bullpen being in dire need of arms, he'll take it. He really will. Daniel says Epler really dropped the ball by not acquiring a lefty reliever, Ruff and Givens. Yeah, I mean, that was an embarrassment of a deadline. I mean, first week, you got production from Naquin, Vogelbach, maybe a couple good at bats from Ruff, but it's been horrible. I mean, Givens he's been a little bit better than what he's been. Givens, I'll say that, but it's been a horrible deadline. I mean, Vogelbach hasn't done much since. Naquin hasn't done much since. Ruff hasn't done jack diddly squat. Givens has blown games, but the Mets bats were able to get it. So right now, it's been really unfortunate to say, really is. But yeah, right now the Mets are definitely going to have to see more production from those guys. And what's going to just start happening is they're just not going to put Ruff in the lineup. And someone asked before about Dom Smith. I have no problem with Dom Smith taking Ruff spots because Ruff hasn't done fucking shit. And I hate to get, all like that, but Ruff hasn't done anything. So what's the point of putting him in the lineup? I'd much rather see Dom Smith. I think Dom Smith is arguably better at this rate. I mean, you traded away JD Davis for the dude. I mean, I know, a lot of the fans love JD Davis. I know there was more the nostalgic and, likability of Davis. Obviously, I think he was a decent player. I think he has a good future. He has, some good pop in his at bat, the opposite field contact. He's great with that. And it sucks that you gave that away for what, a 35-year-old veteran who's not hitting anything, who's had what, like 2 hits for the Mets since joining? Horrible. So, I really do go after Epler on that. This deadline was horrible. I mean, the Mets have a better, if the Mets did what they did at the deadline last year, this year, that would have been successful. They got Baez last year at the deadline. The only reason the Mets didn't play well is because it was only Baez that was really hitting for them last year. In last year's second half of 2021, the only guys that were hitting were Alonso, Nemo, and Baez. 3 guys can't carry a team, and I wish the Mets got Baez this year instead of last year. I mean, did I want Baez? He provided some production. I think there was more chemistry issues, but hey, it's something you'll take. Davis is so happy Eduardo Escobar is red hot. He's destroying left-handed pitching. He is something that we really didn't expect a whole lot to see. I mean, he's been a guy who had horrible numbers against it, and now he has been flaming red hot. He is hitting lefties. He's hitting righties. It does not matter. He's hitting everyone. And that's been huge for him, really. I mean, this is what I'll say about Escobar. I get it. He really had a really bad season. He had a couple good series. I mean, that Texas Rangers series, he showed some good power. He had some good moments. But this is what I say with Escobar. If he could have a really good September and help the Mets secure a playoff spot, and once the Mets are in the playoffs and really be consistent and hot there, then I guarantee you every Met fan is going to forget everything from April to August. You have him next year. I get it. So you have that too. But if Escobar can have a good September, continue to do what he's doing, and help the Mets in this playoff race, and once they're in the playoffs, help them, everyone's going to forget about it. I get it. He had a really unfortunate April, May, June, July, August. I get it. But at the end of the day, your goal is to get to the playoffs, win a World Series. For this case, just get to the playoffs. And if Escobar could be a contribution, I'll be happy. Jones says the Mets will win over 100 games this year. Yeah, I mean, you're 11 away, 21 games left. Yeah, they definitely will. Lane says, who go for the Mets if David Peterson can't? So if David Peterson can't, you'd probably see Trevor Williams most likely. Usually, for whatever reason, if there's a doubleheader, an injury, your usual guy is a Peterson, Williams, your long relievers. If Mcneil comes back, him. When Lucchesi comes back, him. And that's one thing that I think the Mets are lucky to have is that you have four guys who are long relievers: Williams, Lucchesi, Mcneil, and Peterson. So that's going to be very, very valuable. Cal says Angel Hernandez screwing a call in the first inning. Who would have guessed? Yeah, that was a stupid call. I didn't understand any of that. I really don't get what that was about. Yeah, really unfortunate call. I mean, that was a triple. Blade literally put his hand in, and it wasn't even stuck. It's not like the 20. I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was. I want to say it was like 20. I want to say it was like 2016 spring training. I think it was against the Astros when they had an inside the park home run because Cespedes stood there and it was like under the wall. It was literally like that. So yeah, I don't know. Angel Hernandez, that dude's a bum. He needs to. I don't know. Hopefully he gets fired. He's a horrible umpire. He really is. He needs to get fired. RJ says take 2 or 3 from the Cubs and 3 or 4 from the Pirates, and I'll be happy. Yeah, likewise, man. Jones says, is Trevor May back? Not yet. We'll see what goes on with Trevor May. He is not back yet. I think he was on the COVID IL or something was wrong with him. I don't know if that was just to get him off the lineup, but hopefully he is doing well now, obviously. And obviously his performance you'd like to see well. It's been on Twitter a little bit. But there is a lot of news when it comes to Mets injuries with Marte, Guillorme, May. Those are probably the 3 biggest guys when it comes to it. But we'll see. May could possibly join this homestand, most likely. Cal says Mets power is starting to break out. I've been seeing a lot more homers from this team. Absolutely. And that's been a big reason to Escobar getting hot. I mean, Escobar was, when the Mets brought him in, they really hoped that, as stated, he'd be a power, another power back to back up Alonso. All this season, he didn't provide really any power. And now we're seeing it. So we've been noticing the increase in home runs. I mean, obviously, you're getting 33, 34 homers from Alonso. You're getting 20 from Escobar almost now. I mean, you have 22 from Lindor, 14 from Nemo, a couple in the mix, from guys like Mcneil, a dozen or so from Canna. So the long ball has been more common. We've been seeing Canna hit, for more power. Escobar hit for more power. So yeah, it's definitely noticeable. Kobe says, I would like for Vientos to play a position so he can get warmed up before his at-bats. I wouldn't mind that. I really actually do agree with you on that. I think it would be good. I think it's great to fit him in as a DH so he only has to worry about one thing. But, eventually Vientos is going to have to play some position. Eventually the time's going to come. Whether that's third base, which is the most likely reason. I doubt you'd see him at shortstop. I doubt you'd see him at any other position. Maybe he could take some reps at first, every now and then. But I think mainly you'd really see him at third and DH, I think most likely. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, right now the Mets are probably just going to put him in a DH role, work on his bat. I think his defense always has some stuff to improve. like all prospects, that defense is something they always have to work on. But offensively, the biggest thing with Vientos is the strikeout numbers. I really want him to work on that. I want him to be more selective in 0-2 counts and counts where it's two strikes, but you also don't want him to lose uh the ability to hit for power in those counts. So yeah, so we're probably gonna call it a stream here as we did approach the hour mark. We are at the hour and 1 minute mark. So we're probably gonna get ready to call it a stream here in the next couple of minutes. I really do want to appreciate, of course, everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, we really did have a phenomenal stream. Really do appreciate everyone for the non-stop um, support, as always. Um, yeah, like I said, I really do appreciate everyone with the nonstop support as always. But yeah, I really do appreciate it. We're going to call it a stream as always. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Obviously, in today's stream, we did go over the New York Mets and the um, Miami Marlins series summarize that. Then, of course, we went into the New York Mets and the Chicago Cubs series previewing that. We went over some Mets news, some IL stints, some injury reports, going over the Mets bullpen, the Mets playoff hopes, which are pretty high at this rate. So we went over that. And of course, all of your guys' phenomenal, great comments, questions, concerns, pretty much everything going over about the Mets, the Cubs, whatever, all of that great stuff. So yeah, like I said, I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. I know it's been exciting. The playoffs are less than a month away. It's going to be a really exciting moment on the channel. It's going to be crazy. I'm probably going to be losing my stuff probably next month at this time. So I'm definitely excited for that. But yeah, really do appreciate everyone for tuning in as always. Like I said, everyone smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. If you're rewatching this on replay, have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them below. Don't hesitate. And yeah, I guess that is it for today's stream. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream as always. And yeah, otherwise, till next time, baseball fans, see ya.